A very good afternoon to all the members who are attending this session. I'm sure you're all familiar with today's speaker, Mr. Sundar Bharathi. He has already given us a very stimulating and engaging presentation on communication and presentations. Today, he's going to tell us on how we should manage our time. So it is very aptly titled as Time is Money. We look forward to another engaging and stimulating session, sir. Welcome once again and welcome to all the participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Shall I begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here we are managing time. Time is money is the title that has been given to me. It is not time management, right? They have the title that has been given to me is time is money. I think one of the reasons why this topic was so, that is, why is time compared to money is because that seems to be one thing that we all respect, have a lot of respect for. Material world, right? And we are after money. And without money, where would we be? That is what I think is the reason why this topic has been given. And more than anybody else, personally, I have suffered because I did not manage my time very well, right? I have missed my train at least 2 or 3 times. And I found out the true value of time management when I was in a country, neighboring country, right? Asian country, but they are so obsessed with being punctual. So much that there is a bus stop, and in the bus stop, um, the route numbers of the buses that stop in that stop, it's all there, it's all displayed, and along with the route numbers, the times at which they will come there is also mentioned. And I was shocked to see that if it was 4 o'clock, it was exactly at 4 o'clock that the bus was there. I thought this must be a previous bus which is coming late. They said, no. This bus service is very particular about time. They keep time. They are always punctual. Sometimes we set our watches right according to the arrival or departure of a particular bus. I was impressed. And I kept on trying to find out if I could find a fault somewhere. Yes, I could find a fault because one bus was late by 2 minutes. I was like happy, right? Aha. You are human beings after all. You cannot always afford to be punctual. But the person that said, no, this is an extension service of the usual bus. The usual bus has already gone. It was a big disappointment for me, right? Yes. And owing to health reasons, I had to miss a year of study. Yes. And that was a very big stumbling block in the beginning of my career because everyone looked at my certificates during the interviews and asked me, you seem to have wasted a year. See, that is how the world looks at you if you have not made the best use of time, right? You have wasted a year. I couldn't explain to them that it was all because of poor health. Nobody would take it, right? They thought it was just an excuse I was cooking up. That will all said and done. Let us, without much ado, straight away plunge into this presentation. Right? Please wait. Here we are. Time is money is what we are going to deal with today. I think money is valuable. Money can get you a lot of things. And that is the reason why time is compared to money here. Yes, with money, you could do a lot of things. With money, you could buy comfort. With money, you could do business. With money, you could become richer. Yes. And what has time got to do with this? What we are going to deal with in this presentation. One wise quote of the day is here. Every day is a bank account. That goes with the idea that time is money, right? Every day is a bank account, 24 hours of a day. And time is our currency. Time is our currency. No one is rich. No one is poor. We have got 24 hours each. Yes, if we come to think of it, whether we are rich or poor, whether we are born rich or poor, whether we continue to be rich or continue to be poor, or whether we lose our wealth or we become rich all of a sudden from rags to riches, all of us have the same 24 hours a day. Then what is our problem? Why should we manage time? Why is time a commodity that has to be managed? We'll have to see that. There are reasons. And this is one interesting watch that sets us to think, my God, I wish I had at least 60 more minutes every day, right, for a lot of work that I should be completing. Right? Well, many of you might have experienced this. At the end of the day, late into the night, just before you sleep, you remember something that you had forgotten to do the entire day, and well, 1 hour of your sleep is gone. You spend the remaining 1 hour before sleep doing that work. This that is called catching up, right? Yes, 25 hours a day also would be fine. 60 more minutes, 3,600 more seconds, more possibilities. There are two ways you can look at more possibilities, right? If 25 hours are granted for a day for all of us, some of us would really benefit from it. Those of us who can really manage our time well, we will be very happy, and we think we can do something extra, we can do something more. But there are people who will never be satisfied, and they're going to likely ask for more. 25 hours, only 1 hour. Well, there are people who will never be satisfied, right? But like it or not, we have only 24 hours a day. You may delay, but time will not, said Benjamin Franklin. Time and tide wait for none. That is a well known proverb. And look at the other quotation, the quote from Bruce Lee's life history, right? If you love life, don't waste time, for time is what life is made up of. Very beautifully said, right? For someone who lived a very short life, who died very young, in spite of having lived a very short life, for someone who lived a short life, yet was able to climb to great heights in both martial arts and martial arts movies, right? I think that is meaningful. If you love life, don't waste time. He never wasted time. For time is what life is made up of. Yes. And Stephen Covey is one of the coaches who trains a lot of corporate people, right? And in one of his sessions on time management, he said, time management is a misnomer. He says, time management is not exactly what it means. It looks as if it means that we are managing time. No, the challenge is to manage ourselves. What does that mean? The challenge is to manage ourselves. We all have got 24 hours a day that has already been established. Now, the question is, how do we make use of those 24 hours? How well do we make use of those 24 hours? That is the challenge, right? Which means we are managing ourselves. The same time is given to all of us. How one manages the time will differ from how another manages the time. So that is essentially managing ourselves. All time management is managing ourselves, right? And Brian Tracy, another motivational speaker and coach, said time management requires three things. Number one, self discipline. Two, self mastery. And self control more than anything else. That requires a lot of mental maturity. That requires a lot of preparedness to sacrifice certain comforts. Yes, it requires self discipline. Unless you are disciplined, unless you go to bed early and wake up early, early to bed, early to rise, because that's a nursery rhyme, right? We are taught that very early in our life, but do we follow that? Do we really go to bed early? Do we really wake up early? Is a question that we all should ask. And there is always this concept, right? Early risers are always very successful in their careers, whatever their careers might have been. Yes, early risers. Probably that is why they say an early bird catches its prey. Yes, self mastery. That's a different level altogether, right? You should be your own master, which means you have great control over yourself, and that is what the next phrase says: self control, self discipline, self mastery, and self control more than anything else. These are the requirements for you to manage your time really well. In other words, if you're managing time well, you're managing yourself well, right? The biggest difference between money and time. Time is money. Let us see whether there is any difference between time and money. Here it is. You always know how much money you have. Probably sometimes you know how much money you will have 10 years later too. But you never know how much time you have, right? One of my friends said he is going to become one of the great business tycoons that Tamil Nadu has ever seen, right? He went into granite business and he did very well at a very young age. When we were all continuing our studies in colleges, we were doing our post graduation. He refused to do it. After completing his BBM, he went on to do his granite business. But he did
Sir,
not have enough time. Are you able to hear me? Anything?
sorry to disturb you.
No problem.
Are you presenting your screen?
Yeah, actually, I was also about to say you're not presenting your screen actually.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I also yeah, and Mr. Sundara Bharti, can you be a
Yes.
little louder, please?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Please. I was about to I didn't know where
Yeah,
to
the sound
interrupt you
quality is
actually.
not so good
Yeah.
today.
It's going on.
And also, your screen was not visible. I was wondering when to intervene and tell you.
You thought
Thank
maybe
you
it was
so
only an
much.
introduction. Sorry,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
This is screen.
Now it
Now
is. Sir.
okay. I think for some time I've completed these things, and I think every day is a bank account and time is a currency. No one is rich, no one is poor. We've got 24 hours each. I think that is it, right? I didn't look at the chat. Otherwise, I think I would have understood that I should be louder and my slides are not visible. Okay. Yes, you're going to see that in time management, communication also is very important. Okay, we'll see that later. 25 hours. This is the watch I was talking about, right? At the below those two, the hour hand and this minute hand, near the second hand, you have that, right? 25th hour. 25th hour. I like that. You may delay, but time will not. That is by Benjamin Franklin. And if you love life, don't waste time, for time is what life is made up of. That is Bruce Lee. And this is Stephen Covey saying, time management is a misnomer. The challenge is to manage ourselves. And going further, Brian Tracy has elaborated saying that it requires self-discipline, self-mastery, and self-control more than anything else. Before we are going to look at the tools that are available for us to manage our time, the systems that are in place to manage our time, we have to understand that we have to manage ourselves really very well before we start managing the time that has been given to us. Yes, my friend, he passed away quite early. Instead of becoming a tycoon, he's no more. Right? So we never know how much time we have left, and whatever time is left for us is left for us. It is up to us to make the best use of it so that we leave a mark behind in the sands of time. Right? That is what this saying says. I think the biggest difference between money and time is you always know how much money you have, or you might even have later, but you never know how much time you have in the present or in the future. Well, what is time management? Let us see what the definition, textbook definition, says about time management, right? Time management is a set of principles, skills, tools, and systems working together to get more value out of our time with the aim of improving the quality of our life. When your teachers give you a timetable, that is actually a system they are putting in place with the help of a tool called timetable, right? And they must have great skills in order to draft a timetable, right? Yes, because they're all based on a principle, right? Why? What is that principle, if you ask me? You have a variety of subjects. You have a variety of courses that make up all that make up your degree program, right? And that the time allotted for each has to be evenly distributed or distributed according to their importance. This importance is another word that will feature again under a different subtopic under time management, right? They consider a lot of things, right? How long can you have an hour? Is this hour is okay? After this hour, what you can have after this hour? What courses can be had in the forenoon session? What courses can be had in the afternoon session? Right? You will find that most of the practical sessions are there in the afternoon sessions in the schools. Why? So that the students don't go to sleep when the teacher is giving a lecture, right? Okay. So it is a set of principles, skills, tools, and systems. Of these, we have to concentrate more on skills, right? Because we are talking about managing ourselves, which means for that we require skills, right? And of course, we can develop our skill based on those principles to use the tools effectively, to use the systems effectively. And when all these work together, that will add value to our time. or that will add, that will give us more value for whatever time we have? And what is the reason behind adding more value to the time that you have? Is improving the quality of your life, right? All our life, we are trying to improve the quality of our life, right? That is what it is meant for. Now, time management involves the following. That is the definition. We are going to see what are the components that make up time management. There are many components that make up time management, but I have chosen only a few that I think are the most important. I do not know if time management is prescribed as a subject for you. Is it prescribed, ma'am? Is it a prescribed paper? Time management, is it there? Because it's for life skills, right? The degree program. I'm not audible. Yes, anybody? No, I didn't get it. Voice was breaking. Once again, please.
Sir, you are audible.
I'm audible. No, my question is time management one of your courses? Are you doing a course in time management? How many of you are doing it? Can somebody tell me? Or you can even send it in the chat. I can see that. No, sir, says Vanshika Chaudhary. I'm saying daily but failed. Okay. No, so anyway, I think from these two answers, I get the idea that time management as a paper or a course is not prescribed. Yes, but I did handle time management as a course for a group of 25 students who are doing their paramedical courses, like perfusion technology and some lung technology or whatever. They were students who were part-time students, right? Part of the time they were in the hospital and they came, and the time management was one of the topics that we dealt with for an entire semester, right? Yes. So that is why I said it is a very huge topic, but there are certain areas in which if we concentrate on, we will be able to really get the best out of the time that we have, right? That is what we are going to concentrate on. The first one is goal setting. Yes, my students always tell me, right, when I ask them to speak about my ambition in life, they always begin by saying, a man's life without ambition is like a ship traveling without a mariner's compass. All that is fine. They've been saying that. It has become a cliched expression, right? I become used to it. Right? They all begin, whenever I say my ambition, they always say everyone should have an ambition. And sometimes they speak about, they split up ambition into short-term goals and long-term goals, right? Some people have understood it properly. Short-term goals are goals that you set for yourself, maybe for the duration of a year or maybe 3 years of your degree program. It depends. It depends. It differs from one person to another. And if it is someone from the industry, production, right? Within this year, I will have to produce so many vehicles or whatever products, and I'll have to send. If it is a seller also, I've been into sales also, right? So we have a DSR, which is called daily sales report. I've been with a movie theater also. We have a DCR, it is called daily collection report. So you see that we are keeping track of everything. Why? To understand whether we are on the right path towards achieving the goals that we have set for ourselves. So we set a goal for ourselves. Is it enough? No. We have to work towards it, right? We have to work towards achieving that goal. And keeping track of your progress will tell you clearly whether you are moving in the right direction, number one, whether you are moving at the right pace, number two. So these two are important, right? You should be moving in the right direction, which is forward, which is upward, right? And you should be moving in the right pace because the world is changing faster than you can even think, right? Sometimes everybody says thoughts are really great horses, right? They move so fast. But I think sometimes things change overnight. So goal setting, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? If your long-term goals would be your ambition, probably your career of your choice or where you would like to be. In interviews, it is very common for interviewers, job interviews, I mean, right? In job interviews, it is very common for interviewers to ask this question, right? Okay, what is the idea behind applying for a job with our company? And the next question would be 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? That is a twofold test, right? Number one, they are trying to find out if you're ambitious. They're trying to find out if you're a go-getter. They are trying to find out if you're going to make the best use of your time in that concern or organization and try to move up the ladder of career. Number two, they are trying to find out if you're going to become a competitor. Okay? That's the hidden agenda. They're trying to find out if you will learn the trade or learn the ropes from them and you will turn a competitor for them, right? That might be a long-term goal, right? Short-term goal is what you wish to achieve in a short term, and long-term goal is probably a lifetime goal, right? Prioritizing, right? What is meant by prioritizing? I told you earlier, importance is a word that we feature again in our presentation, and this is it, right? What is important for you? What is not important for you? If we are wise enough to decide for ourselves what is important for us, what is not important for us, then we are slowly moving in the direction of making the best use of our time, right? Prioritizing. We are going to see that elaborately later. Anticipating changes and challenges. Yes, tomorrow it might not be what it is today. Overnight, we had a pandemic and we had to move from classroom situation to virtual classroom situation, right? And those people who were already into multimedia teaching found it very easy to adapt themselves to the change. It was because the adaptation was not as intense as it was for people who had no idea about what multimedia teaching was, right? So anticipating changes, expect changes, right? I'll tell you something, right? I do not know. Do you think we will have cabs, right? We have all these fancy cabs, right? Aggregators are there, and you book your cab online. Do you think these cabs will last forever? Will somebody answer that question? That is an interesting question I'm asking. And if you are really keeping an eye on what the changes are likely to happen, right? You will answer me. You think all these cabs, so-called taxis, right? To book a cab online and it comes to your home, picks you up and drops you at your workplace or your college. Do you think that will continue for a long time? Anybody? You can even type your answer if you want. Don't think. Probably no, sir. Can you give me the reason also, please? Vanshika says most probably no, sir. Nita Virmani says no, don't think. Maybe something else will take the place of a cab, says Naba. You're right. I think you already have read about driverless cars, right? Cars that are intelligent enough. It will have a replacement, Nita Virmani. But you're right, Nita. Yes, it will have a replacement. Everything is getting changed, right? We used to climb up the stairs and down. Nowadays, we have escalators and lifts. Things have changed, right? Maybe we will be more advanced. We will have more advanced public transport. Yes, they are trying it even in India. I don't know when it will happen, but it might happen sooner than we expect. So you should anticipate such changes and gear yourself to meet those changes, because sometimes those changes pose challenges. Challenge is only a difficulty rightly considered, and difficulty is only a challenge wrongly considered. I hope you understand that, right? So every change brings with it challenges, and you should be able to meet those challenges headlong. That will be possible when you anticipate changes and you gear yourself up, get yourself ready to meet those challenges, right? That those changes bring about. Yes, sometimes you don't have to anticipate challenges, you have to bring about changes, right? You have to face the challenge of being given the responsibility to bring about changes, right? I am reminded of the Indranu is the story that Mr. Bhanukumar said, right? She brought about certain changes in the management structure, in the management methodology, right? Which was probably responsible for her climbing up the ladder really faster than others, right? So sometimes you will have to make changes. You will have to be the person responsible for all the changes, right? That is also there. Well, Mahatma Gandhi once said, be the change you wish to see in the world, right? In others or in the world, whatever. So sometimes you have to anticipate changes. Sometimes people will be anticipating you to make changes and you should rise to the occasion. Yes. Then, moving on. Like all skills, you should remember, we are all dealing with skills, right? Life skills. And time management is one of the most important life skills. Why? I told you, right? I have suffered because I did not have these skills earlier. And that is why, out of experience, I'm telling you, if you master time management, the other skills will be very easy. Why? Because you will have enough time to acquire the other skills as well. Yes, like all skills, time management needs to be learned. First, somebody has to teach you. Maybe a textbook, if you're smart enough, if you're intelligent enough to read a textbook or read a book on it and learn from it, or if a person is prepared to teach you what time management is all about and how you can go about managing your time, you should learn it first. And after you learn it, it is not enough. Knowledge, you have got the knowledge, right? You have got the knowledge of what time management is all about and how it can be done. But then the next stage is implementation, right? So knowledge, next one is experience, right? And through experience only you become a wise person. Wisdom is born out of experience. Knowledge you get from everywhere, right? Yes, it should be learned, it should be practiced, and at a later stage, it should be mastered. You should become a master of your time, right? And how can you do it? You cannot do it easily. Nava said, I'm finding it very difficult, right? Yes, all things are difficult before they become easy. This is something we saw even when we were dealing with back to the basics. Remember, all things are difficult before they become easy. And when we face such difficulties, we have to be resolute. We have to be with a strong will to bear with all the difficulties involved and continue to learn, continue to practice, and finally master time management, right? So resoluteness is important. Now let us watch this video and see what this gentleman has to say.
Adarika, what is this?
So that's pista.
And about this?
That's almonds.
Okay, now I'm going to mix this together. I'll give you 15 seconds for you to separate both.
That's very easy.
Okay, do it in 15 seconds. Your time is up. Did you manage to separate?
No, sir, I was only halfway through.
Do one thing. Remove only the pistas from this in 15 seconds.
Boss, I'm done.
What does this mean?
Your method was better than mine.
No, it means it's faster to complete the task if you focus one thing at a time.
Understood, boss.
That's a beautiful message, right? The man very clearly says, focus on one thing, right? And there is something, this saying that comes to my mind, right? Jack of all, master of none. And I tell you, modern life demands something a little bit different, right? It doesn't mind you being a jack of all. That is, if you know something about everything, it's okay. Try to know something about everything. Nothing wrong in it, right? Yes. And is it all? I go a little bit further and say, jack of all, master of one. Become an expert in at least one area. Know everything, know something about everything. I'll repeat that. Know something about everything and know everything at least about one thing, right? Which means you become an expert in that area, right? That is very important. And here, why is that video? What do you think is being, what is the idea that is being put forward by that video? He said, you have to focus on one task. The clue lies there. Can you tell me? Can someone tell me what is the idea that the gentleman is trying to make clear for the lady? Anybody? I'm asking too many questions as it. Yeah? No idea? Well, we are not computers. I like that. Breaking the task into smaller tasks. Breaking the task into smaller tasks. I did not think of that way. Yes, Meeta Virmani, you're right, Meeta. Because when you say you are being given a task, right, it is not just one task, it is a series of tasks which have to be done in a particular order. Then you have to do the first thing first, the second thing second, third thing first, etc., and the last thing last. It becomes a process. What is a process? A process is a series of actions, right? They have to be done in an order. Yes, you're talking about one task, Meter, but I'll tell you something else. Many people have the wrong notion that they can do a lot of things at the same time. Yes, But when you are trying to do a lot of things at the same time, thinking that you are managing your time very efficiently, there is something that is suffering a compromise, and that is quality, right? Quality becomes a casualty when you are trying to multitask, right? There are only a few people who can manage that, right? It is not possible for everyone to pull it off, right? It is very difficult for many to indulge in multitasking, right? So be careful about multitasking. Ask yourself this question, right? Will it be possible for you? Will it be possible for you is what you have to ask, and you try it out a few times. And if you're confident, go ahead. But otherwise, be careful. Do not do it. Focus on one task at a time. That is what it means. But right now, we are going to see how to manage our time. There are some tips that comes on a video here. Let us take a look at. Well, too much in a very short video. That is what I say. Very efficient time management, right? Almost every important quality that is required, every important task that we have to do, every important skill that we have to develop as a sub skill of the time management skills have been dealt with there. But we'll deal with it one at a time, right? That was a kind of precursor to what we are going to deal with. The first one of the things that was said was I'm going to focus on a few things, right? Planning is very important. Plan your work for today and every day, then work your plan. This is what Margaret Thatcher said. In fact, she was actually reflecting on, or she was actually echoing the idea that was put forward earlier by Benjamin Franklin when he said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. That's it, right? As simple as that. Plan your work and work your plan. I like that. I like the sound of it, right? Plan your work and then work your plan. If you plan something, it has to be done this way. I'll do it this way. And after that, follow that plan. Keep that plan as your guideline and follow that. That is what we have to do. So I hope you understand the importance of planning, right? And planning is done also not just to manage time, for a lot of other reasons as well. Why is planning important? These are the reasons. There are 10 reasons given here on the slide. It increases efficiency. If you plan something really very well, the way you do that work, right, it is going to be really very good, right? How efficiently you're going to perform the task. This will have a very positive impact on that. What? Planning. And then it reduces business related risks, for you education related risks, right? It will reduce all the risks that are involved in doing business without planning, right? If you don't have a study plan, then your studies are not going to be really very good. And if you ask your teachers, they'll tell you they have a lesson plan. For every lesson, they have a plan. And for every subject, they have a plan, right? It's a semester's plan. And then for every lesson, how to begin, how to go about, all that is, everything is pre-planned, right? And if it is properly planned, you will find that your teachers are very efficiently managing the 1 hour, 60 minutes given to them, right? They will have a time for everything, and they will have some extra time also. What is that called? We'll deal with that later. And the third point that here that is given here as well, the reason for the importance of planning, I'm sorry, is it facilitates proper coordination. If you have a plan in hand, if it is printed out clearly, spelled out clearly to all the people involved, all the stakeholders who are part of the process, then coordination becomes easy because everyone knows at a particular time what is to be done and what their role is, what each person's role is, he or she will know, right? It aids in organizing. In this slide, you are getting a lot of other areas also where time management is a part of, right? Okay, aids in organizing. What does mean by organizing? Everything in order, right? Everything will go in order. As I told you already, a process is a series of tasks in a particular order. So that order is possible if there is a plan, okay? And if everybody is in her or his own assigned place, doing the assigned task at the assigned time, there is proper coordination, don't you think? There will be no problem at all. You will find that in circuses, there is perfect coordination among the people who are swinging on top of your head, right? They seem to know everything. You think they might miss, but they never miss. Why? That coordination. It has come out of practice. And that is a magic word again. It aids in organizing, coordination, and then gives right direction, the direction that you need to go, right? Forward, yes, forward. If it is upward, upward, yes. It keeps good control. You know what you have to do, then you are under control. And you know when you have to complete it, so you are under control. Everything is under control if planning is in good shape, right? It helps to achieve objectives because the plan is aimed at achieving the objectives only, right? Why is there a plan? Various stages of a plan being implemented, and the final stage is going to be achieving the target, right? So it helps to achieve objectives. It motivates the personnel. When they know what to do, the people who are going to work for you will work eagerly because they know this. You have to do this work in for 20 minutes from now. I want this work done. It's very clear. So what work is to be done and what is the time limit? And if they believe that the time is not enough, they are going to tell you it will require some more time. And they will be asking for reasons, right? So it motivates the personnel. The personnel gets motivated because everything is communicated clearly to him through the plan. And he or she is going to analyze first whether that plan is viable or not, is going to work. Encourages creativity and innovation. If you know beforehand what tasks you're going to perform on a particular day, you are likely to think about it and you are likely to do something out of the box. You are likely to do something innovative. You're likely to do something creative, right? And for that, you need to prepare them, right, by giving them a plan. Anybody who is going to be creative in your team, let us say you're working as a team, right? The person has to be given a clear plan so that the person thinks of a creative way to implement the plan, a creative way to go about putting into practice the innovation that he has on mind for the plan to succeed, right? And yes, of course, it helps in decision making. Yes, when you plan and give a plan, there are likely to be objections, and objections are not always negative. And when objections are there, you decide whether more time is required. You decide whether more people are required. You decide whether more equipment is required or not. So all these point to one direction. Right? What is that? The importance of planning. So plan your work and work your plan. Right. And next comes the time limit that we fix for a particular task. The time limit that we fix for many tasks put together. Right. In a year's period, these are the courses that you have to complete as part of your first year studies. That is fixing time limits, right? Fixing time limits. Why? Helps in avoiding procrastination and perfectionism. What is procrastination? Can anybody tell me? That's everybody speaks about it, right? Can anybody tell me what is procrastination? Procrastination. Shakespeare's drama, Hamlet. See, every tragedy hero of Shakespeare has a flaw, and Hamlet's flaw is procrastination. Delaying. Excellent. Excellent. Who said that? Delaying? Karnagupta, very good. And lingering the task. Okay, lingering on a task. Okay, I'll take that. You are right. The idea that you're putting forward is correct, right? Procrastination is delaying, right? You are given a task and you are asked to finish it in a particular time period, time frame, right? And is, and if you are right, if you are vacillating, if you are trying to decide when to start, there is still a lot of time. Let me do this work and come back to this. Let me relax for some time and then start it. Oh, there is ample time. This is a problem. Most of us think there is ample time for everything. If there is ample time for examination preparation, why should you be given 6 months to prepare, right? Semester is 6 months, right? Roughly speaking. Why should you be given 6 months, right? That's a problem. For 6 months stuff you have to cram into your head in just a week after the timetable has been given. Examination timetable, semester examination timetable, right? Then you realize that you have been procrastinating on studies. Yes, procrastination is delaying tactics. Procrastination is putting off things, postponement. Sorry. Next one is perfectionism. In one of the sessions that I was dealing with those students I told you about earlier, one student said, "What is wrong in trying to be perfect, sir?" I like that. There are always perfectionists among us, but they don't, they are so obsessed with perfectionism that they don't realize that perfectionism is an ideal. And working towards the ideal is good, but when you reach a certain amount of perfection, you'll find that there is more waiting, right? Where knowledge gleams through an arch. That is what Alfred Tennyson says in Ulysses, right? You think you have achieved something, you find that there is something more to achieve. So perfectionism is an ideal, right? It is not real. Okay. Yes, perfectionism. We'll deal with about that a little bit later also. Please wait. Yeah, we have. But Edward Young says procrastination is the thief of time. If you delay things, you are wasting time. You are stealing time. Whose time, if you ask me? It depends. Mostly you are stealing your own time. You are wasting it away, right? Procrastination is the thief of time. Even if you're wasting away your time, your own time, you are robbing yourself of that time, right? That is what is meant by procrastination is the thief of time. This is an oft-quoted proverb, right? Line. I've seen this. To understand procrastination clearly, we have a very charming young story, which normally should be played for children, but nobody grows up that fast, right? You are also children. Well, that story also incidentally tells you that if you do not meet deadlines, you will gain a very bad reputation and people will not be prepared to give you a job. They won't hire you. So someone who is good in time management is likely to find really enviable jobs, shall we say. The king asks him, "Why don't you go for a job and do some work?" Right? He says, "Nobody gives me work because they say I won't complete any task in time." And then he says, he gives him a task, right? The king is very clever. The king is not just intelligent, he's clever, right? He knows this man needs to be educated that time is value. Time is value, right? The value of time. And so he says, okay, you can take as much wealth as you want from the treasury, that is the country's treasury, right? The king's treasury, as much you want. But if he sets a time frame before sunset, there is that is where the king is really very clever, right? He could have said, you can come and take as much wealth as you want anytime. Then the man would not have realized that there are certain things that have to be done in their own time. So, as usual, he procrastinates. He keeps on delaying. He keeps on postponing. This is such a simple task, right? All he has to do is take the bags over to the palace, go to the treasury, get his bags filled, and come back a richer man, right? But this man, it would not be, right? His character is entirely different. So he first wants to have his food, then he wants to take rest, then he becomes tired, once again rest, and finally he has lost a golden opportunity in every sense of the word. Yes, time is gold. Yes. Then we have a saying here by Michael Hart, right? He says, perfectionism is the mother of procrastination. Uh-oh. I told you, right? Many people think it's perfect. Many people say that as the word of appreciation. Perfect. How's everything? Perfect. But nothing is perfect. When you think that something is perfect, something more perfect comes in. Perfection is always a process, right? And it seems to be endless for me, as far as I can see in many fields, right? Perfectionism is the mother of procrastination. You see the man doing something really wonderful there. He is trying to cut grass with a pair of scissors. And it is certainly going to take a lot of time, which means he is delaying the task. All he needs is a lawnmower. All he needs is a lawnmower, right? Or he needs that kind of equipment that is required to cut grass to certain height. So this man has got down to the grass level, right? And is trying to cut each and every leaf of grass with a pair of scissors. That is procrastination. In the earlier story, we saw that a man who wastes his time by waiting for food, by resting, by relaxing, and missing the deadline is a procrastinator. He does something, but he doesn't do what he has to do. But this man does what he has to do, but the methodology that he follows is a problem. Right? Why he is a perfectionist? He wants everything to be spick and span, right? That is a problem. So too much of perfectionism, if you expect too much of perfection, then you are not going to complete the task at all. So that is what the next proverb says, right? Done is better than perfect. If you have completed the task, that is better than trying to be perfect and not completing it at all at the time that it has to be completed. It's clear. This is especially important for people who are in certain sensitive areas like disaster management, medicine. Yes, doctors have to be very extremely careful about time management, right? The surgery cannot go on forever. That is dangerous to the life of the patient concerned. And the treatment needs to have a time frame. And if the treatment doesn't work over a period of time, it has to be changed. Yes. Yes. Take everyday happenings, right? If your cook or if your mother is cooking, if people at home, if your food is not ready on time, you're going to miss the breakfast and come without your breakfast, and you're going to probably faint. This happens very often in our schools. Most often, both parents are working and they come without breakfast to school, right? And they faint, particularly during the morning prayer, right? They stand in the sun and they suffer from malnutrition and dehydration and whatnot, and they faint. What happened? They did not have breakfast. So some breakfast, right? Even 2 slices of bread would have got them going until probably the first short break, during which they could have shared some food from some other classmate or somebody else, right? So it is important that you do the task, if you perform the task at the fixed time, during a fixed time frame. That is very important than being 100% perfect about the task. Right? Done is better than perfect, says Sheryl Sandberg. And this crops up whenever anybody makes a presentation on time management. This is called time management matrix, and this has something to do with prioritization. And prioritization is deciding what is important, what is more important, what is less important, what is most important, and what is least important, right? It's called degrees of comparison. I'm teaching you English. Time management matrix involves these 4 quadrants, right? The first quadrant is for urgent tasks and important tasks. You have to manage them. And the second quadrant is for tasks that are not so urgent, but they are important. You have to focus on them. Quadrant 3 are for tasks, the quadrant 3 is for urgent tasks which are not important. You could try your best to avoid before that task became urgent. Okay. And the fourth quadrant is neither urgent nor important. So you have to limit it. See, this could differ from person to person. What you might consider to be important and urgent might not be shared by your own friend. Right? You be your wise decision maker. Right? You have to decide what is urgent for you. Sometimes what was urgent and important at a particular moment might not be urgent and important the next day. Why? It's over. The task is over. It was urgent yesterday. It was important yesterday. It was performed. Sometimes, if it is urgent, it has to be done today. The deadline might be today, right? And if it is important, certainly you have to give the topmost priority to it, because it is not only urgent but also important. If you don't do it, something you will suffer something. Maybe you'll suffer loss of electricity. You don't pay the electricity bill on time until the last day. This is another problem. Sorry to deviate. I'm not deviating. I'm telling you something, right? This is our characteristic feature of most of our people, right? Whether it is in the classroom or in real life. See, you go and tell your father, we have to pay the electricity. We have to pay the internet fee, right? We have to pay the internet tariff. Okay. And the first question that probably comes from your father or your mother is, which is the last day? So the first question when somebody tells you something has to be done is, when is the last day? Which is the last day? Right? What is the deadline? We are always waiting for the last day, right? And you'll find that nowadays you are paying most of the payments. You're making all the payments online. There too, there is a problem, sir. We are making payments online, sir. We don't have to go on the last day there and stand in a big queue waiting for your turn. No, sir. I just use my computer and pay everything online. Sometimes it is just my mobile phone. But you might have seen this, right? On the last day, the server that has to manage your payment crashes. Why? Too many people are trying to access that server, trying to make the payment all at the same time. Yes, this is what I say, avoid peak hour. Avoid peak hour. Does that mean peak hour should never come in our life? No. Start a little bit early. Start a little bit early. Don't go with the crowd when it comes to traffic. Why not be 10 minutes early? That will give you some extra time to go there, relax in your workplace or in your college. Maybe meet a few friends, talk for some time, or maybe plan what you're going to do on that day. It gives you time. Yes, start early, reach early. Start late, reach later. Why? Caught up in traffic. There is traffic congestion, there is traffic jam, and there are traffic snarls, sometimes diversions. What to do? So you have to decide what is urgent and important for you, and also what is not urgent and not important for you. Of these quadrants, obviously Q1 needs immediate attention, and Q4, as much as possible, you need not worry about it. Okay, that is time management matrix. My suggestion is this presentation is probably going to be shared with you, and if that is the case, you have this quadrant with you on one hand. On the other page or another paper, you write down what you think to be urgent and important for you at that moment. What you think to be not urgent and important, not urgent, but important for you at that moment, right? Because you have to focus on that. It may not be urgent now, but it is important. Before it becomes urgent, you have to focus on it. That is examination in the beginning of the year. That is examination in the beginning of the semester, right? It is not urgent. Preparing for examination is not urgent at the beginning of the semester, but it is important. You split up. Yes, earlier we said, right? Splitting up a task, dividing a task into many small tasks. That is what it is all about. That is why you have unit tests, right? And finally, you will be only revising for the semester examination or the final examination. Okay, also assignments. Yes, no wonder. So, what is urgent and not important? Sometimes it is. You have to avoid it as much as possible. And don't worry about what is not urgent and what is not important. Yes. Then we have scheduling. That was prioritization, right? What is important, you decide, and you start doing what is important only. You give, okay, then you're going to ask me, okay, I've decided these are the important things that I have to do on a particular day. Give a time for everything and assign it to someone. Yes, what do you mean by assigning? That's an interesting question, right? I see student coordinators here in this team, right? I think they must have already felt this. Scheduling is very important, and then assigning tasks to people is very important. At this particular time, you have to do this, and after that, I will relieve you of those responsibilities. You can relax, and I'll do it. This is work sharing. Yes, when you organize an event, that is what you do. Tomorrow, I may not be available. You take care of it, and the day after, I'll take care of it. You can relax. That is one kind of scheduling, right? But if scheduling is done on a very formal basis and in a very clear manner, it will boost productivity. You will be more productive than normally, right? Why? Time bound. That is scheduling, right? Scheduling or scheduling, whatever you call it, it is all time bound. It is assigning the time for a particular task or assigning times for time durations for various tasks. It boosts productivity. It ensures fair distribution of work in an organization, thus avoiding worker fatigue. Well, this is going to be useful for you when you go to the corporate world or the industry or management, wherever. This will help you in dividing the work among people, dividing their time also, and so that will ensure that nobody gets tired that easily. Why? Each one has her own fair share of work to do during a fair share of the working time that they spend in the organization. And so everybody's happy doing his or her own work. Another important point in scheduling is you can easily track where the work is done and where the workers are. They should not be in two different places, right? Where the work is, the workers should be. That is what scheduling is all about. And nowadays, see, it used to take hours and hours together for many people to schedule things, right? I think your professors also would agree with me. Earlier, timetable, framing timetable used to be a very difficult task, but nowadays we have software for that. All you have to do is create a database first, right? Create a database of teachers available for various papers, and then feed it into this software. It will give you a timetable, and you can just fine tune that timetable that is given to you by that software. And you're going to ask me, if it is a software which is supposed to be efficient, why should you fine tune it? Well, a software is a software. It is not a human being. There are other human considerations, and that is why I said yes, it has to be done. At least fine tuning has to be done by a human being. Yes. So automation, that is what we call, right? If you are using software to do scheduling, right, to do scheduling, then we are indulging in automation, right? That's it. It saves a lot of time spent on scheduling. Why do we need automation of this kind? Because it saves us a lot of time, energy, and effort. All these three are precious things, right? Time, energy, and effort, and they are all related to one another. At the end of the day, no, I don't mean that. I mean in the late evening, right? Most of the people who have been working throughout the day will be very tired. That is not the time for giving a work that requires a lot of energy and effort. Early in the morning, you can give really superhuman tasks to people, right? They will be bursting with energy, right? After having rested well and having a good breakfast, they will be there and fresh. They will be prepared to take on the challenges of a difficult task in the morning. Okay. Yes, the next one is organizing. Many people suffer a lot because they are not organized. Sometimes I've done that myself, right? I throw everything around on a table and I am searching for everything, right? And I keep searching all over the table. I keep searching the drawers and all that. And finally I asked myself, where did I leave it? Okay, I'll forget it and do something else. I stand up and I find that I have been sitting on it. It has already always been on the chair, right? Some article. Why? Because I'm not organized. There are organizers of various kinds, right? These are physical organizers where you can keep things, right? Where you can keep things, and they should be always there. Once their use is over, once their utility has been completed, they have to get back to their rightful place. Be very diligent about this, right? Then you will save a lot of time. I've seen many people first hunting for a paper, and after they've got a paper, wait, I'm trying to get a pen or a pencil. Right? This is very especially when you're talking on the phone and somebody asks you to note down something, maybe a phone number or maybe something else, right? One of my students answered very smartly saying that, sir, no problem, sir. I'll record the entire conversation, and when I want, I'll replay the conversation and then note out the phone when I find the paper and pencil, right? But I said, between these two times, if you have to make a phone call immediately, there was no answer from his side. Okay, this is organizing, right? You see that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and all that. That is actually a tablet or pill organizer. We take pills if you are not feeling well, right? If that has to be taken over a period of a week, then you can have this pill organizer. There will be no confusion at all. I saw an even better pill organizer in a hospital recently, where it says very clearly BM and AM. I know AM and PM. What is this BM and AM? And he said that is the person who is taking up nutritionist and diabetic. What do you call it? Dietitian. Yes, the dietitian of the hospital said, "Sir, BM stands for before meal and AM stands for after meal. They have their own short forms, right? Abbreviations. These are not abbreviations that we normally use everywhere. Yes, this is a pill organizer." And in the same hospital, in many places, I came across this saying, which is there in the call out, right? A place for everything and everything in its place. I loved it. I loved the sound of it. And I've been trying very scrupulously to follow this as much as possible. Mind you, I am not meeting with 100% success every time. No. Sometimes I throw away things, I misplace things, and even now I search for things. Yes. But since I started trying to follow, not even fully follow, right? Trying to follow this idea, right? I think life has become better. Yes, better in terms of time not wasted in searching for something. A place for everything. Fix a place for everything, and everything in its place. For everything, if you have fixed a place, everything should be in its rightful place, right? If that is the case, no issues at all. A lot of trouble will be avoided if you do that, right? If you have a separate place for all the keys, right? A keyboard as such, right? You have all the keys on that board. And if every key has a chain which has a label on it saying this key is for what? Maybe this is, for example, in our school, right? We have this, like classroom number 1, classroom number 2, like that. So if for classrooms we have a keychain and every key has a label on it, right? That's it. A place for everything and everything in its place. I like that, right? Yes, I found that in that hospital there is a place for an oxygen cylinder, and that is always there. There is a place for wheelchair. When somebody fainted, immediately they rush, right? It is like reflex action, right? Immediately the hospital personnel rush to the place where this wheelchair is or the stretcher is, depending upon how the person has fainted or how much unconscious the person is. They immediately rush to place, right? And they get it immediately. No searching for it, no asking where it might be. And if you have been regularly visiting that hospital, you know where what is. Okay. And the next one is meeting deadlines. This is a topic we already touched upon earlier, right? And meeting deadlines is always a big problem. I told you, we are always bothered about deadlines. Complete this assignment, students. Okay, which is the last date, madam? The first question is last date, right? That is deadline. And we wait until we are dangerously close to the deadline before we decide to sit and slog. That's the problem. If you wait until the 11th hour, as they say, right? That is an expression which they say last minute, something like that, right? The 11th hour, you are not going to meet deadlines. See, assignment is given to you to test your knowledge and learning. to test how competent you are and how the training has been fruitful, how far, right? That's a feedback mechanism in assignment. So have you experienced whatever has been taught in the class or in the lab? Your ability, has it seen some improvement? Your growth, right? Based on all this, there will be advanced training. And all these are contributory factors to your efficiency in organizing time to meet an academic academic deadline, right? I'm not talking about any other task. You are students now. You get a lot of academic deadlines. There is a project to be completed, right? The final year students have to complete a project by a certain period of time. Yes, for that, all these are important. Why? They are all a test of all these qualities. And you need all these qualities to be a person skillful in meeting deadlines also. That is, you should have acquired knowledge about the meeting deadlines. You should have learned through the past lessons where you did not meet the deadline, and thereby improving yourself and getting competence in meeting deadlines. Yes, training yourself to meet the deadlines, and your experience would have increased your ability, and you would have grown to a certain stage when you might say, well, I am able to meet deadlines, but I would like to make it more efficient. Then you will require advanced training. Yes, the improvement, the development, it goes on. So at the bottom is a line which says, don't let the sands of time run out on your tasks and projects. I think the form that comes to my mind is a sand clock, right? Don't let the sands of time run out on your tasks and projects. If you have been assigned a task and you have to meet a deadline, let not time beat you. Time should not beat you. You will see that in a later stage of my presentation as well, right? The problem is say no. Sir, that is negative, sir. No, where you have to say no, you have to say no. What does it mean? If there is a distraction, say no. You are deeply involved in a task and you are being distracted, right? It might be music, it might be maybe someone requesting you or someone asking you, someone trying to persuade you to go for a movie or go out to play. Yes, these are all distractions of the past. But currently, that is in this generation, I find that the greatest distractions are social networking. And if I say only the younger generation are guilty of being distracted by social networking, that would be a lie. I find people of all age groups, whether they are children or older people, even retired people, right? Well, you could say retired people have a lot of time for themselves. No, there are certain things that the retired people have to do right on time every time, like taking pills, for example, like taking their food on time, for example. They should not be distracted from this everyday routine. If they are distracted by social networking, then they are likely to suffer from health. And their WhatsApp is going to be filled up with a lot of information, right? The same message by everybody: get well soon, get well soon, get well soon, right? Another important place where you have to say no is where you are not distracted, right? But somebody is seeking help. Somebody is asking you to do something. And we always have these questions on our minds, right? And we are someone who would like everybody to be pleased with us. If that is the case, we are not going to be successful. You cannot please everybody. Well, you can please a lot of people, but you cannot please everybody every time. You cannot please all the people all the time, right? Our problem is a picture of a people pleaser. The character is like that, right? The people always think I have to please. How can I say no? They're asking. They're only asking, right? They're not even commanding. They are not ordering, right? They are not bullying me. They are asking, please do it. And how can I say no? That please itself, that tone, intonation. Remember, please. Sometimes children have that, right? Children are very clever in asking. Please. Okay. The question on our mind, the questions on our mind, when we think we have to please people is, number one, will they get mad? If I say no, will they get mad? Mad here means angry. And I wish I could say no. I can never bring myself to say yes. I can never bring myself to say no. How can I say no to them? I've never said no to anybody. What will they think? This is another problem, right? For many things. The people who have always been bothered about what other people think have never been innovators, never been creative people, never been forerunners, never been great entrepreneurs, never been enterprising. One word. What will they think? What will people think? What will people think, right? This is another question that bogs us down. What if they, what if I say no? You're doubtful, right? If I say no, what will happen? Will we still be friends? That's the biggest question of all. That is how friends win over you in distracting you from your regular work or routine work or work that requires your immediate attention. You have to avoid that. Will we still be friends? You will always have friends. If you lose one, you will get a dozen. And you don't need a dozen, right? If 10 friends are there, and if all the 10 friends are really very good, that is more than enough to last a lifetime. Speaking out of experience. My circle is getting bigger now, right? And I'm finding it difficult to keep in touch with all my friends. Okay. Yes. And then Cheryl Richardson says something about people pleasers, right? He says, your self-care is always a valid excuse to say no. You first. Take care of yourself and then take care of others, right? Your topmost priority should be yourself. Sir, isn't that being selfish, sir? There are times when you need not be selfish, and there are times when you have to be selfish. And if you have any doubt, you people were telling me that you are reading a lot, right? If you have any doubt about selfishness, or should we be selfish? Isn't selfish a negative quality, a vice, not a virtue? Please read Ayn Rand's The Virtue of Selfishness. If you have read it, good. Please share it with others, right? The Virtue of Selfishness. That is the title of the book. It is not a very big book. You can read it, right? But it's not a storybook, remember. Ayn Rand, she has written a novel and many novels also. Atlas Shrugged is one of the most famous novels she has written. Ayn Rand wrote this book called The Virtue of Selfishness. Right? I think that's a very lovely way to say that selfishness also could be a virtue. Your self-care is always a valid excuse to say no. Don't have your breakfast, come with me. No, I will have my breakfast and then only come with you. Simple example. And this man has to say something about on time and in time. Suddenly, this man, that is me, right, who has been talking about time management, has turned a teacher of English. But the idea continues to be time management. What is the difference between on time and in time? If you know about it already, kindly just watch this and ignore it. But I could not resist playing this for you, right?
Let's look at the difference between on time and in time. They often mean the same, but sometimes they're different. On time means according to a schedule or a deadline. If I don't finish my work on time, my boss will be angry. My train is never on time. In time means not too late to be successful. So I missed my deadline, but I still got the presentation finished in time for the meeting. My train was late, but it still arrived in time for me to get to work early. Neither my presentation nor my train were on time, but they were in time for me to do what I needed to do. It's good to be on time. It's even more important to be in time. The difference is down to how flexible your schedule is. But be careful. Sometimes if you're not on time, you won't be in time either.
That is from BBC, right? On time and in time. I always advise my staff as well as students to be in time. Better to be early than to suffer delay, right? That is it. And you're going to ask me, sir, is it humanly possible to be always on time or in time? See, if it is 9 o'clock, you have to be in a particular place, and at 9 o'clock, bang, you're there. Then you're on time. If you're there at 8:50 or 8:55, you are in time because you have come earlier, right? But there is a railway station here where you have these commuter trains running around, right? And it clearly, very, very clearly says it is better to be Mr. Late than to be late Mr. I like the sound of it, right? It is, see, if there is a choice between being punctual or being in time and death, choose being alive, right? I'm sorry, being alive, choose being alive. If you're really late, don't take risks to reach the place where you have to go. If you're really late, don't take risks to plagiarize an assignment and try to get marks. No, right? Do what you can, give it the best you can. That's all. And the next, after in time and on time, we are going to see how we have to be aware of time. Most of us are not aware of time. Right? There are many people who take a look at their wristwatches, right? But they are not consciously registering it into their minds that this is the time, right? One. And another problem is for many, it has become a kind of mannerism, right? Very rarely I see people saying, now the time is 11 o'clock and I'll wait until 11:10. And if he doesn't turn up by that time, I will not wait for him. I can wait for anybody only for 10 minutes. If more than 10 minutes delay is something that I will not tolerate. So those people are very time conscious, right? They are obsessed with time consciousness. Right? Yes, be aware of time. How could we be? If we are in a workplace, always fix a clock where you can just look up to it. Right? Well, you have, if you're working in a system, on the right bottom, you always have the time displayed. Yes, the date displayed, the time displayed. So that's not an issue. But how many of us really look at the time? I don't know. See, sometimes there is a warning coming up on your device, right? Be it a mobile phone or a laptop, which says you have only 30 minutes of charge left, right? But you keep on working. You're so involved in the work that you forget that time. And after 30 minutes, it goes off. Then you have to wait until you have to reboot the system, whatever. And then charge it to a certain degree where it is quite safe to use. So be aware of time. How a visible clock makes me aware of time, right? For that, you can set an alarm or you can set reminders also. Reminders, yes. If you wish to complete a task at a particular time, set a reminder that goes off, right? Maybe in the form of an alarm, 5 minutes before the time, right? 5 minutes before the time. That's very important. And these are conventional methods, right? Conventional, I call them conventional because technology has come to the aid of people who want to efficiently manage their time. A monthly or daily planner, you might have seen this, right? Sometimes it comes along as a free freebie, right, along with magazines, other things, right? So a month, the days of a month are there, and you could fill up those quadrants or squares with whatever tasks that you're supposed to do. So that is a monthly or a daily planner. And on the right hand side, you have a to-do list. Nowadays, I think I see many people using these in their own mobile phones, right? It's happening. I see that also. We used to have digital diary about 10, 15 years ago. Digital diary, right? Just that was for that purpose only. Organizer, it used to be called. Weekly to-do list. Priorities. So once again, priorities makes its appearance here. And then day-wise, it's given. And at the bottom, after the last day of the week, which is actually the first day of the week, Sunday, on the right-hand side, you have notes. So you have some space up there for priorities, and at the bottom, for whatever is pending after a particular day. For example, if Monday I have not completed the task that was meant to be completed on a Monday, I could move it to Tuesday and take it down as a note down there, right? Task delayed by 1 day. That's it. So organizers, these are all organizing tools, right? These are tools which could be really useful to manage time. But if you're tech savvy, you could go for this. This is especially some of my school students, right? Some of my school students are using this very efficiently. And I find that every time they are presenting their assignments or submitting their record notebooks, as they say, right? Science record notebooks. Record notebooks are presented or submitted right on time, sometimes even in time. That is, they submit it 1 day earlier. The teacher says, why don't you submit it tomorrow? But it's completed, miss. Why don't you accept it today? They do it, right? And I find that when I asked a student how she manages to do all that all in good time, and she says, I use this app, My Homework Student Planner. Who taught you to use it? My parents. Well, lucky to have such parents. A perfect app for all levels from high school to university. So don't think this is only for students, right? This is student planner, remember that. And My Homework Student Planner gives you a calendar in which you can track your upcoming assignments. Remember, upcoming assignments. When is the teacher likely to give an assignment? You can fix a date on that, right? This is the date she will give. And in which you can track your upcoming assignments, upcoming exams, upcoming projects, and other important events also. It could be used for anything, right? Whatever a student is likely to encounter or do in the educational campus, you can all use this organizer for that, right? It's a planner. Planning, we have seen the importance of planning, remember? Well, it has a homework widget I don't think I have to explain what a widget is, right? If you know app, you know widget as well, where you can sync your assignments and receive reminders for when they are due. It will start beeping, right? It will start beeping, or there will be a pop out. It says you have to submit the assignment tomorrow. It will give you earlier, right, when they are due. Yeah, or sometimes it comes on every day, right? If you want an everyday reminder, also you can set it, and every day it tells you when you have to submit it. So it's a reminder, keeps on reminding you. Ideal for avoiding being caught off guard by a deadline. You know, off guard. You know what it is, right? Unknown. Oh, I didn't know. That is being caught off guard by a deadline. So you won't miss a deadline if you are using My Home. And this is something probably even your teachers are using it. Right? Evernote, a lot of people use it. You know that a great app for keeping your thoughts as well as your assignments organized. It's a multi-purpose, right? Evernote allows you to sync. You can synchronize what? Personal checklists and notes. This is important. This is multi-platform app, right? Across devices. It can be synchronized, and you can see it in your laptop. You can see it in your mobile phone if you have both, right? Meaning, you can work on a task on one device and later switch to another without losing anything. It has notes section, notes, right? That's it. If you're taking down anything, if you're noting down something, you can see it anytime. If you don't have your laptop because you are away from it, you can always check with your mobile phone. So you have to install it in both the places, right? In both the devices. Meaning you can work on a task on one device and later switch to another without losing anything. We are talking about data loss here. That's all. And then you can take notes in a variety of formats. Notes in a variety of formats. Interesting, right? Including text, photos, audio, web clippings, and videos, and can attach Microsoft Office documents and PDFs. This is quite versatile, right? It gives tremendous scope for use, right? Really efficient use of time. Why? You won't miss anything anywhere. You don't have to get back home. So when I get back home, and then it is all in my laptop, you won't say that, right? Because it will be in your mobile phone. Clear? And what is on your mobile phone will be synced with this also. What you have done, maybe you went out somewhere, attended a webinar or attended a seminar person, right? Physically, and you took certain notes, maybe in the form of notes, text, or maybe you took photos there, or maybe you just recorded the speech given by the keynote speaker there. Audio, web clippings, and videos, anything could be done, right? And you could come home and watch it at leisure, right? Yes, it also lets you work collaboratively with others and share ideas as well as plan events and set reminders. It becomes fun then, right? Yes, it is not just used for business purposes and work purposes. It is used for fun as well. That is among friends also. They use it, right, collaboratively. So it could be shared across to many people. You can share your ideas. You can plan events, which will see participants from all over, and you can set reminders also. Not only to you, but set reminders for the purpose of others to see and be reminded. Okay. I'm almost nearing the end of my presentation. Ayes and nays. What is ayes for time management? What you should not do for, yes, do's and don'ts. I just wanted to be a little bit different, right? Space management also. This is not time management. This is space management. What do you really need to have in order to manage time really very well? Making meetings time efficient. We did not come across this phrase, right? Time killers. Time killers. Can somebody tell me? Meetings, sir, meetings are important. How can they be time killers? This is what somebody asked me. It was a member of the staff who asked me, right, when I was talking about time management in very different, it was a program for teachers. Do you think meetings are time killers? Why? Anybody? I've been going blah, 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 blah too much.
Because a lot of time goes wasted in waiting for people to arrive, then chai, coffee, then, certain things can be done over email and it is much faster.
Nowadays, that is what most of the corporate people and the people, particularly in the IT field and ITES field, right? Information technology and information technology enabled services. Everything is online for them. All the information is passed online. Sometimes they have virtual meetings. From where you are, you attend the meeting. Yes. Yes. You're right, madam. That's great. You're right. Meetings could be time killers if we don't have a time frame for a meeting. The meeting has to last only for 20 minutes. That's good. Beyond 20 minutes, the meeting loses its focus. And ultimately, it will lose its purpose. A clear agenda. What are the items on the agenda? What are the points of discussion? See, we have to go at it in a very formatted way, right? You have to first initiate the discussion and put forward an idea and find out if there are counter ideas to it and arrive at a compromise or maybe arrive at a balanced decision that is good for all. If we don't do it this way, there will be too much discussion and very little decision. And that is when time will be wasted in meetings. But if you can plan it like this, yes, once again, planning comes in. And really do well in the meetings, right? That is what you're doing, right? What making meetings time efficient and communication effective, right? In the beginning of the session, my slides were not visible, but you were under the notion I was only going without slides for some time. Yes, if you're communicated, no slides, sir, I would have understood, right? At least the title slide has to come on, right? Yes, communication effective in this sense. Using as few words as possible, you should be able to convey as much as possible, right? Brevity is the soul of wit, isn't it? Yes. Did I hear someone say anything? Many unwanted interactions pitch in, unimportant topics come in. Yes, you are right. We forget the items on the agenda and we discuss an entirely different thing. Because people come with different agendas sometimes, right? The common agenda is left out. Yes, communicating effectively is also important. Being assertive. You should know when to say yes, and should know when to say no. Scheduling, we saw that. Organizing well, we saw that. Delegating duties, we did not see. If you are working as a team, you should know who will do what task in what time and how efficiently. And as such, you have to give that person that task and another person another task. This is called delegation of duties, and that is one of the most important leadership qualities, right? Leadership qualities, yes, delegating duties. This works especially when you are working as a team. And prioritizing, we have seen all that, right? What are the negative sides? What should we avoid? Interruptions, we should avoid. If you are indulging in works, we should avoid interruptions. That is, if something, see, you ask a question in between, you give me a point in between, that is not an interruption. That is value add. You are adding something to what I'm saying. And that is not interruption. But if somebody comes and says totally unrelated to our topic, right, then it becomes an interruption. Okay. Sometimes interruptions could be technical as well. If my microphone is not working, right, that could be a technical interruption. We have to avoid interruptions. Obsession with perfection, we saw that. Time killers, we saw meetings are time killers. I think television binge watching also is a time killer. I've seen many people watch television for a long time, right? They watch a serial which goes on for 30 minutes. And one day I made a calculation, sat and made a calculation, right? How much time is actually the serial time and how much time they spend watching advertisements. The advertisements took up more time than the actual serial, right? After OTT comes, it's very clear because if you watch a previously broadcast program, not live, not program, yesterday's program you watched today, right? You understand without advertisements, you understand how much time you might have wasted if you had watched it yesterday. Yes, that is also a time killer. Gossiping is time killer. And yes, social networking, excessive use of social networking is also a time killer. If you're using social networking creatively, productively, then no problem at all. Okay. Yes. Then procrastination, we saw delaying, lack of focus, and focus comes only when you concentrate on one task. Yes, you don't lose focus. Lack of vision. Why am I doing this? If you have no idea, you are not going to involve yourself really very well in it, right? Mission is something that you are aiming at, short-term goal, right? A vision is a long-term goal. So if you have an ambition in life, you will be a good time manager. If you don't have that lack of vision will cause you to be a poor time manager. Excessive social networking, I already told you that under the title time killers. Yes. Let me move on. I say become time friendly. What's this?
Are you constantly finding yourself behind at work or school? Do you arrive at the end of the day and realize you've accomplished nothing on your to-do list? well, odds are you're not very good at time management. And that is not doing your psychological health any favors. In fact, a study published in Work and Stress found that workers who didn't productively manage their time felt less in control of their lives. Here's the good news. You can get better. Paying attention to how you spend your time will help you manage it more effectively. And we're going to help you learn how to do just that. Today on Wellcast, we're going to get you in control of your day with our RACK method. Recording, analyzing, and changing. 3 easy steps to great time management. Pause and print a copy of our handy Wellcast day planner. Finish printing? Let's dive in. Step 1, recording. When you wake up tomorrow, note the time in your day planner. As the day progresses, write down everything that you do. Yes, we mean everything. The 10 minutes you spent getting dressed, the half day of productive work, the hours you spent between social networking sites, we mean it all. Keep this up from the time you wake up until you go to sleep. Step 2, analyzing. At the end of the day, go through the schedule and highlight any chunks of time that you don't feel were used productively. Pick out your 5 biggest time wasters in your day. Be honest with yourself. You spent a half an hour by the coffee machine talking to your coworker. You spent an hour on Facebook, and you stared into space for 20 minutes. Come on, you get the picture. Especially focus on the time wasters at work. Why? A study published by the British Medical Journal says that workplace stress is minimized by effective time management. It also says that workplace stress bleeds over into home life and undermines a relaxed life at home. Here's the ugly part. Add up all the time you wasted. How much productive time did you blow on activities that got you no results? Step 3, changing. Now it's time to come up with a way to get that time back. Here are 3 ways to change your time-wasting habits and become a better time manager. Prioritize. To-do lists are a really effective way to manage your time and your priorities. Limit the number of tasks you have on this list to 5 and assign rankings to them in order of importance. Declutter. Not only is decluttering great for your health, but you won't waste time digging around piles of stuff to find that one piece of paper that you really need. Check out our Wellcast on Clutter for some helpful tips on lightening your load. Schedule. Hey, we all try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but odds are multitasking will actually just stress you out and delay you even more. Instead, set aside blocks of time for individual activities. For each activity, set start and stop points. This way your day is cleanly segmented. Then stick to this schedule. Try going 1 week using these tips to reduce your wasted time. At the end of a week, go figure out where you've improved your time management skills and how much time you've saved. Let's recap. Today you learned how to manage your time better by using our Wellcast RACK method. You recorded, analyzed, and hopefully changed how you use your time. And you did this by learning how to prioritize your most important tasks, declutter your workspace to save you time, and you learned how to build yourself an effective schedule to block out your day.
Yes, madam, I have not managed time really very well this time. I've gone beyond the time, well beyond the time, right? Shall
Never
I
mind,
continue
sir.
for just
Never mind.
a few more minutes? Not much, not much. This might be, well, the last slide. Last point that I have to make.
And if you can manage your time, you can handle your life. If you're wasting your time, you're wasting your life. With some order, you can move things forward. It just takes a little bit of your work. All you need's the books you read. Push, succeed, you must believe you will achieve anything with assertiveness and self-discipline. Your life is time. The clock goes tick-tock, baby, time is life. Remember your crisscross training. Make a list of jobs before you start your day. Then begin by getting the worst one out the way. It's never so hard once you've started a task. The start is usually the hardest part. So seize the day, don't let it breeze away. Think of what you could achieve today. Everyone has dreams, so get up and go get them. Don't procrastinate for even 1 more second. Your life is time. The clock goes tick-tock, baby, time is life. Remember your crisscross training.
That's it. I would like to take questions if there are any.
Thank you so much, sir, for your
Oh, yeah.
vital tips on time management. I'm sure students have questions to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Students, participants, please feel free to write your questions in the chat box.
I think that lovely is for the song Meeta Veermani.
For the complete session, sir. It was a lovely session. I think you ended up really well, and it was a blockbuster. So I really enjoyed your session. Thank you so much. It's a life changer.
Oh,
Thank you.
a question which is similar to a question that was raised during Back to Basics is cropping up here. Kirti Saini has asked me, sir, is there any relation of wearing watch in right hand with time management? See, the question that was asked during the Back to Basics was, I see some people in the South really better than people in the North as far as the English speaking is concerned or something like that, right? And I said direction has nothing to do with that. It is the individual who matters, right? There are good speakers here, there are good speakers there. There are poor speakers here, there are poor speakers there. So direction or a place doesn't have anything to do with it, right? If you are in the right milieu, you're going to be good. In the same way, scientifically, there is no proof to say that people wearing watches in the right hand, they are really very good in time management. I don't think so. It's more often I find that people who wear watches, wrist watches on their right wrist, right, they do it because it's more comfortable for them. They might be left-handed, number one, or they might think I want to be different, right? And Isha, so how to manage time when we are moving on? I missed that question. Yes, I got it. How do we manage time when we are very late to complete something or near the deadline? I tell you, you have to make sacrifices. The time that you allotted for something else, which is less important, something maybe you have to sacrifice the time that you relax. Maybe you have to sacrifice the time that you spend on time wasters, right? Sometimes it might even be necessary to sacrifice quality time with your family, which in my opinion is one of the most precious times that you have in your life, that also you might have to sacrifice. And my sincere suggestion is, not even advice, right? My sincere suggestion is try to meet the deadline as much as possible as soon as the deadline is announced, so that you don't have to ask this question, right? When we are very late to complete something. Yes, then we will have to make use of time allotted for other activities for meeting the deadline. I think I've answered your question, Nisha. Any other question? I'll find out if others have asked question. Okay, what is your take on overfixation on being on time all the time? I told you, we are human beings. This I established very clearly. It is not possible for someone to be on time every time. And that is why that railway station says it is better to be Mr. Late than to be late, Mr. Right? As far as possible. This is a beautiful phrase I like, right? As far as possible, as much as possible, try to be on time. If it is humanly impossible, don't worry about that. Give your reason. Give your reason, right? If your reason is plausible, you're going to be forgiven for that, or you're going to be tolerated for that. Okay. How we have to prepare schedule by effective manner, if we could use on daily routine. Very simple. See that video said very clearly, write down what you do every day, every task that you perform, right? That's going to be your private document. You don't have to show it to anybody. Be true to yourself and note down everything that you did, right? So first try to find out, record in the sense, find out what you are doing. That will give you a perspective of how efficiently or inefficiently you are utilizing your time. And after that, you set it right. Analyze where they have gone wrong, and finally change. Right? That is what RAC is all about. Okay. I think I have answered your question, Priya. The 4 quadrants of work being urgent and or important, I couldn't well understand the third quadrant. Why? Third quadrant. important, urgent, but not important. Could you please cite an example for the same? Thanks. Well, I'm like giving the question to the entire forum, right? Is there anybody who could give me an example of a task that is urgent but not important? I think Meeta Virman is trying to ask me, if something is urgent, it has to be important, right? And it says avoid. Anybody? Any takers for that question? An example for that? Urgent but not important. You have to avoid it in this. I'll tell you, when you have not paid attention to your health, right? Suddenly you fall ill. I'm giving a negative example, right? And you have to urgently take care of your health. It could have been avoided. Instead of becoming urgent, if you had taken care of it earlier, that is, if you had prevented it, then you need not have it need not have become urgent. I'll tell you a very simple thing, right? Prevention is better than cure. That is where I got this idea, right? Prevention is better than cure. To cure is good. That is important. If you are suffering from some fever, if you are suffering from ailment, it can be cured and it is good and it is urgent. It is urgent. Now you're going to ask me, isn't curing yourself important? Protecting yourself from that ailment would have been easier, right? So why did you wait until it became urgent? Your health is important, but it is not that important on a day-to-day basis, right? This is what I think about, right? But you could think of it in lines of this also. Urgent, but not important. Somebody comes and tells you, please come over. I have to go to a movie. I've got 2 tickets. We have to go today. This is the release date. Movie is being released today. Right? It is urgent, but certainly not important. Have I got it? Meeta, have you got it? Somebody is pressurizing you to come for a movie because it's a golden once in a lifetime opportunity, and you think it is not important. It is not important, right? It depends on whether the movie is important for you or not. Sir, but like this, it happens with me. I plan a lot of things in my mind, but I'm not able to execute. Then I feel guilty about it. You see, if I don't do something in its time, I also feel guilty. That is human. Understand that? But if you don't change, you have every reason to feel really very guilty, right? Extremely guilty. Yes. Try to keep on improving on it, Chester, Dadra, and you will one day you will find that you have changed. A lot of questions coming my way. Okay. Like this. Yes. I hope I've answered all the questions. If you still are not satisfied, you can ask me. I can answer it again. It's not going around. Any other questions there? Okay, the others are not questions. Everybody's saying this is what I was feeling. Okay. If we don't take out time for health, we will have to take out time for disease. I like that, madam. I like that. Yes. Prevention is better than cure. Tricks for what? Esther? For not managing time and feeling guilty? There is no trick. There is no trick. There are honest methods only for really good things, right? So I don't think there is any trick for that. Right? You have to practice. You have to try hard. That's all. If you see, there's a beautiful poem, right? It is a lesson you should heed, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. It is a lesson you should heed, try again. You have to listen to this lesson, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again, which means nobody succeeds in the first attempt, right? And if you don't succeed in the first attempt, it is not the end of the world. There is always hope for another time. Okay, I think I've answered almost all the questions, madam. Is there any other question?
Yes, chai coffee क्या लोगे?
Okay.
क्या हुआ?
Any other questions?
Any other question?
कब से?
I think I've taken almost all the questions. I
तो
hope
फूल
it
से
has
तो नहीं हो रहा तुम्हें?
been satisfactorily answered to all of you.
So now I'll request all the participants to unmute their cameras so that we can take a photograph with you.
And this is the slide you were waiting for, madam.
Yeah.
That is the slide I wanted all of you to see before we went for that, right?
Oh, yes.
My very hearty
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's really sweet of you, very
Yes.
sweet of you. And
You
in fact,
deserve it.
we express our heartfelt gratitude to you for doing all these sessions for us so beautifully, such fascinating sessions you've done for us. We don't have enough words to express. Thank you so much.
So I'll
This
tell you,
is
I've
such a
given.
sweet gesture.
Okay. I took it took some time for me, right? Because I wanted everybody to be on screen, starting from Mr. N.C. Balachandran and Bhanukumar, who have been helping you out to materialize
that's true.
this session. And I should thank the principal for having given the go-ahead for such a session, such a series of sessions. It is a series, actually, right? And making sure that the students continue to be in touch what is important for life. And Nimala ma'am, you've been following up everything, right? Yes, you have been in a way my time manager, ma'am, because even if I forget, you won't. You will remind me. You have to send me the presentation. You have to do this. You have to do that. My God, my WhatsApp.
I think I've been bullying all the presenters throughout the session.
You're most welcome, ma'am. You're most welcome, right? You put me in my place, and I was always on my toes, right? You were always on the top of my WhatsApp group because you were always giving instructions that kept me going, right? I would have missed certain points. I would have missed doing certain things, right? But for your guidance, right? So, madam and Madam Ruby Bharatwaj and Madam Prema Bhutta, thank you very much. And of course, great student coordinators, Mr. Anshul Kapoor and Ms. Vidhi Jain. I know that you've been there almost all sessions, right? It was difficult for me to attend certain sessions, which I badly wanted to attend, but you have been there throughout and you have been doing everything wonderfully, very well. I think you are lucky to have your teachers and your teachers are lucky to have you. I wish I had some situation like this, right? And of course, all the participants, right? The number is really great. And I know that they are from various other schools. I should thank the teachers concerned there, professors there, and of course, those participants who diligently attended almost all the sessions. Thank you very much. It's been a great experience for me. It's been an education for me and once in a lifetime opportunity for me.
Mr. Sundara Bharati, thank you for making this so special for us. You know, this is the icing on the cake. Believe me, all three of us, you know, and the student coordinators and our lovely participants here, everybody, you know, would go home. I'm sure they'll go back home with a, you know, smile on their faces today.
Okay.
We don't really go back home in that sense. We are on a virtual mode, but still, you know, like it's such a lovely feeling to end the session on such a positive and cheerful note, you know. And I have one important announcement for the participants. We are taking a 1 week break from 10th to 17th. So our next session will be on the 19th. The university had announced a mid-semester break for the third year students. And we also felt the need to take a break. We are also doing online DU admissions, really hard pressed for time. So we are taking a break from 10th to 17th. So we'll see you next time on the 19th of October, same time. We'll post the notifications on your WhatsApp group. And we will PPTs regularly with you after every session. I'm sure you are looking at it. Please go through it because in the last session, you will have to do an assessment test based on the sessions that have been conducted. That is mandatory. Two things that are mandatory for you. One is your attendance and the other one is your assessment. So these two things have to be taken care of at your end. The rest is our work. So we'll do that for you. And can we have the group photograph now, please?
My only regret is that I did not practice what I preached today. We went beyond time.
Still, you are in time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We didn't want to miss that fun slide. That was really good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anshika, please let us know once it is done.
And Mr. Sundara Bharati, we look forward to seeing you at the valediction.
And when is that, ma'am?
We will invite you, 28th.
I'll be happy to attend.
We will invite you for that. We would like to have you for the valedictory session.
Thank you very much for that, ma'am.
Thank you once again. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. May I leave now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Participants, please fill up your feedback forms. And if you have done that, you can leave the meeting. And we meet now on the 19th of October. I repeat. I think they filled up, Prerna. You know?